Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. So, you might be wondering, why am I making this video? Well, that's an interesting question. So the thing is, this was actually inspired by a comment that I received recently where somebody, actually, I'm going to show you guys right now. I'm going to show you exactly what inspired this shit. So, just one second. Alright, it's now sharing my second screen. So basically, I was recording a video and somebody actually saw this logo, this Crunchyroll logo. And I was asked if, like I basically received a comment of someone asking, hey, by the way, what app is that? Like, where did you download it? And eventually I had to explain to them that this isn't really an app. This is really just, this is pretty much just a web page. Like, it's basically a launcher for the actual Crunchyroll webpage. There's no difference between watching Crunchyroll through this and watching it through a web browser. I just downloaded this because honestly, it's just a slightly more convenient experience just to click and open the web page immediately. But it's not like this is like an actual dedicated app or anything like that. And so, after that experience, I thought to myself, you know what? I've mentioned a few times that I use Linux, blah blah blah, but maybe I should just actually explain what my desktop setup actually is. So you know what? I'm dedicating an entire video doing exactly that. So I guess to start off, the actual operating system that's running on my computer, it's Arch Linux. Now, why Arch Linux in specific? Well, honestly, for two main reasons. For one of the first distributions that I ended up using was Manjaro, and honestly, I just kind of ended up getting used to the Arch ecosystem. Like, I'm used to a lot of the, I'm a lot more familiar with the packaging system, a lot of the commands, specifically the terminal commands and stuff like that. So it's really just a force of habit. And why I left Manjaro over Arch? Well, honestly, it's just because Arch is a little more lightweight in the sense that, you build it from scratch. With Manjaro, it tends to come with a lot of programs that I may or may not use. And so with Arch, simply due to the fact that I can kind of build it from scratch, makes it a little more appealing because I can pretty much just hand select exactly what I want to install on my computer. So that's pretty much it. And yeah, as far as programs that I daily use, there's a couple of ones that you can see right here. Oh, actually, here's the software center. So this is Discover. Basically, Discover. So the thing about Linux is that Linux in and of itself is a kernel, and there are distributions that are basically operating systems based off of the Linux kernel. And each of them can have different packaging systems, different repositories, and due to that, if it's not like you can just download a package from one distribution and install it on another one. It's not really how it works. And because of that, we came up with universal packaging systems. One of them is Flatpak. And Flatpak is built into the Discover software center, which is from KDE Plasma. KDE Plasma is the desktop environment that I use. There are a couple of other ones. There's what's it called? There's GNOME. There's XFCE. There are a couple of ones. Hell, you don't even need a desktop environment. You can also just use a Windows manager. Wait, not Windows manager. Window manager. I prefer. Well, I don't know if I would say that I prefer in the sense that I've had the time to actually test a window manager and confirm that yeah, I prefer a desktop environment because I haven't actually done that. Maybe one day if I ever decide to reinstall Arch Linux, I'll just install a window manager and kind of like test the waters to see how it is. But for the most part, I'm okay with using KDE Plasma. Well, with all its bugs. But yeah, this one has the Flatpak repository, which it's actually good because a lot of software developers might prefer, like they will actually encourage you to either install their Flatpak or their App Image. App Image is another universal packaging system, just because those packages, they're meant to work with pretty much any distribution. And so sometimes I might install a Flatpak if, for example, the program, well, not being available, that's kind of rare because if a package isn't available on the official Arch Linux repository, it might just be available in the AUR. But for Flatpaks, if, for example, the package is either broken or maybe it takes a little bit too long to compile it from source if I'm installing from the AUR, I might just end up installing the Flatpak just because it will take less time. And they tend to be more stable. Like here's qBittorrent. I'm pretty sure I already have qBittorrent. Let me actually check. Yep. Here's something that I actually do have installed, Space Cadet Pinball. You guys remember this? This fucking classic game? Yeah, it's available on Linux, which is pretty funny. What other packages I have installed? There's Bottles. Bottles is so basically, if you want to play Windows games, you can either use Wine or Proton. I switch between the two. If a game isn't available in Steam, I'll use Wine. And Bottles is like a interface for Wine, if a graphical interface that you can use to kind of set up all the presets that you need in order to get certain games to run. So I do use Bottles every once in a while. I don't use it a lot, but I do use it every once in a while. Chiaki, this is actually a PlayStation remote play software. So if for whatever reason I want to stream the actual game feed in order to play remotely on this PC, I can use Chiaki. I haven't really used this too often because I don't really find myself needing this. Maybe if I had like the Steam Deck, this probably would be more useful, but I don't know, I don't really need it. DXVK, that's interesting. Because I think this came with the computer. I actually don't remember installing this outright. There's GIMP, which is the software that I use to edit thumbnails, pretty much. That's pretty much the only thing I use this for. And there's a couple other things. Cora, I'm trying to remember exactly what I used this for, but I don't fucking know. Krita, I actually installed this because I wanted to test out my drawing board, and it does work, which is the part that fucking matters. Make MKV, I've actually talked about this before. It's a software that I use to rip DVDs and Blu-rays. Because I would never pirate movies. Piracy is illegal and wrong and evil, and you'll go to hell. Mission Center, I quite like this. Let me actually show you guys. Mission Center is an interesting fucking piece of software because it's basically Task Manager, and it shows pretty much everything. There's CPU utilization, there's RAM. It says that I have to insert my my sudo password in order to gain access to extra pieces of information. Oh, I'm not gonna do that. You know, disk, there's internet, and then there's GPU. The GPU is probably the part that really fucking matters to me, simply due to the fact that KDE already comes with a monitoring software. Actually, fuck it, I spelled it wrong. With a system monitor, but this one, it's okay, but it doesn't have information on GPU utilization. And I think at some point it was possible to add it, but I don't know. Something definitely happened, and just ever since then, it's almost impossible to do it. But here I have the information on the GPU utilization. Here's like the video encoder. This is from OBS. Which, speaking of OBS, let me actually show you guys something interesting about OBS. Because if I go to settings, then I'll go to output. So as you guys can see here, I'm in advanced mode. And the reason why I'm in advanced mode is because if I were to use OBS with the default settings, it actually doesn't give me the option to use hardware encoder. It only has software encoder. And I've never really been able to understand exactly why that's the case, why I don't have the option for hardware encoder when I pick the encoder in the simple mode. But yeah, I always have to go to advanced, and then here where it says video encoder, I have to pick VAPI, and that's because AMF, which is the hardware encoder for AMD, it's proprietary, therefore it's not it doesn't come bundled with the Mesa drivers. There is a way to get AMF to work, but it involves you installing the proprietary drivers. And installing AMD's proprietary drivers isn't like the biggest deal in the world. I don't have them installed just because it creates some conflicts. Like some programs may choose to run the proprietary drivers, even if the open source ones are the ones that are loaded, are the default drivers that are loaded by my by the kernel. But some programs may still choose to run the proprietary drivers. That's something that was happening to me before. I even made a video talking about this. Like games, like a lot of my games, my emulators, they were just using the proprietary drivers, which have their own fair share of issues when running certain games. The compatibility isn't quite there. If you're playing video games, you definitely do want to use the open source drivers for AMD. They're definitely way better. And so, because I didn't want to play around with fucking environmental variables and shit like that, I just decided to remove them entirely. And that means that I have to use VAPI instead of AMF. AMF does look better, but honestly, I don't know. I just don't really care too much to fucking try to fucking figure out how to get this shit to work. I'm interested in knowing how the AV1 experience is gonna be if I ever get either RDNA 3 or RDNA 5. I'm not gonna get RDNA 4 because they're not gonna release any high-end GPUs, so I'm just gonna skip that generation entirely. But yeah, once I have access to AV1 encoder, I'm wondering what the experience is gonna be. I'm very curious, very curious. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to show there. But yeah, the fact that video encoder is working is great, and yeah, I like this quite a bit. And then there's Proton UpQT. This is what I use to install Proton GE, because like I said before, if you want to play Windows games on Linux, you need a compatibility layer. There's Wine and Proton. And with Proton is basically the compatibility layer developed by Valve, which works just fine, but since it's open source, people have forked it, and Glorious Eggroll, our Lord and Jesus, he made Proton GE, which tends to work a bit better with certain games. Like, it tends to have a lot more bleeding edge stuff. It tends to also come bundled with certain codecs that Valve might not have the license to use. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of advantages to using this. And there's Ryujinx. I tend to use Yuzu a lot more than Ryujinx, because Yuzu just tends to, well, I mean, in terms of game compatibility, it actually kind of depends. Like, some games, I can only get them to run on Ryujinx. But, I don't know. I like both emulators. I think they're both good. And, yeah. And also, as for Yuzu, I installed the package from the AUR, so you're not going to see it here. And then there's QV. I think QV is just the program that I use to open image. I think I installed this specifically because I couldn't really open WebP images on this computer. It just never worked with the default image viewer that this computer uses. So I ended up installing this. I think that's why. I don't entirely remember. But yeah, Linux doesn't. It just wasn't opening WebP images, which was really annoying. And default browser, there's Brave. I'm sure you guys have seen me using Brave a couple of times. There's Toshino Kyoko, with no eyes, nose, or mouth. I like this image. And it's not much to show here. It's a basic ass fucking web browser. Nothing really all that cool. Then there's Steam. Steam's nice. Steam's based-ish. not as based as GOG, but they do contribute to Linux gaming, so I do respect them for that. And they have a native client, which works just fine, and I appreciate them a lot for that. And that's pretty much where it ends. Then there's ALVR. I actually use this for VR. Now, I don't particularly use virtual reality isn't something that I care too much about. This mostly just exists for experimentation, because I wanted to test out to see if I can get a Quest 2 to work here, and it does work, even if it's definitely not the best experience. The bit rate is pretty terrible. I wish I knew a software that allowed me to connect the Quest 2 with a link cable, and I just can't find it at all. I just cannot find it. I can only do it wirelessly, and with wireless, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if I had a bit more time, I could try to create a better wireless setup, because mine is not exactly amazing. I am basically connecting to my home's Wi-Fi, so maybe that doesn't help too much. Though I have heard people complain that even with the best connection, the bit rate is not the best. So I don't know. I don't really know what to make of this. Honestly, it's really fucking complicated. Now, as for the video editor, so I have two. So there's Kdenlive, which is the video editor that I've used for pretty much the majority of my time using Linux. Kdenlive works fine. It's very unstable though. It tends to crash. Well, actually, it crashes a lot less now than it did before. Because, Jesus Christ, when I first started using Kdenlive, that shit would fucking crash very often, to the point where it would really annoy me. This doesn't happen as often now. And I feel fairly comfortable using Kdenlive. But right now, I'm actually using Shotcut. I like Shotcut. I see a lot of potential with Shotcut. And you know what's really cool about Shotcut? It supports GPU acceleration. Now, it's not the best. I can tell you right now, it's definitely not the best. It definitely has its fair share of problems, but it does support it. And let me actually see where the fuck is the export? Oh, okay, there it is. I can actually use hardware encoder. Now, to be fair, Kdenlive does actually have hardware encoder. Let me actually check. If I go to render, it does actually have, but it's still experimental. I've actually never used hardware accelerated encoder, but to be fair, at the time, the reason why I didn't use it was because at the time I wasn't really able to use my hardware encoder on the computer, but I ended up figuring out why that was the case. So actually, one day I might just end up experimenting how this actually, I could actually just sort of like benchmark the speed, the image quality, just to see how it is okay in live. But I would say this is no longer my default video editor. Now it's Shotcut, and Shotcut, I like it. I genuinely see a lot of potential with Shotcut. The UX, I still need to get used to it, because in some ways I do find it a bit less intuitive than Kdenlive, but I don't know. I like what I'm seeing here, so I'm gonna use this from now on. And also, VPN, I guess. I use Proton VPN. Proton VPN works just fine. I don't really like the desktop the GUI client, because compared to the Windows version, this is a lot more simplified. And in some ways, like for example, I wish there was a way to pin countries, like the countries that I tend to use the most. That was something that I could do on Windows, but I can't do it here. I've tried searching for the option, but I just cannot fucking find it. Maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe there is the option, but I just don't know where the fuck it is. But I just never been able to find it. I like Proton VPN, works just fine. Secure Core, NetShield. NetShield, I think, is for blocking like certain I don't know, some ads or shit like that. I'm not exactly remember. Kill Switch, I think it's when I don't remember exactly what Kill Switch is for, but I think it's something to do with like if like I don't know, it's some weird security thing where it's supposed to help cleaning up traces of your usage of the VPN or something like that. I don't know exactly what this is for, but I mean, I've never used it because I'm not using VPN for any nefarious reasons. It's still legal in my country. What else can I show you guys? Oh, interesting enough. Let me actually switch. I want to show you guys something. Let's switch to my ultra wide monitor because the funny thing, I actually have 3 monitors, And the reason why I have 3 monitors is because one of them is for gaming. Like, I can actually show you guys right now. Holy shit. So this one, which is my LG Ultra Gear 1080p monitor, I use this for gaming. It supports up to 165 hertz. So yeah, pretty much gaming oriented monitor. Then there's the ultra wide monitor. This one I use mostly for editing. If I open a video editor, I'm gonna open it here because, you know, bigger field of view, a bit more flexibility for stuff like that. And then there's this one. Now this monitor, it's kind of like an extra thing, like an extra screen to have, like, which can be convenient, including for editing. If I need a Windows just to, you know, fucking, I don't know, just to open a file explorer, or maybe I need to download something. I'm already using the other monitor. It's just, you know, it's just an extra screen to have to, you know, manage around things. Oh, and also I can use the screen to open a virtual machine. So, you know, if I have like a Windows, or not even just Windows, any virtual machine, open right here. And then these 2 monitors I can use for my just whatever. Because normally, because the thing is, to me, when it comes to computers, 2 monitors is enough for me. Like, 2 monitors is pretty much all I need. And the third monitor I can use for something extra. And if I'm using a virtual machine, for example, because sometimes I'll use because I actually have a let me actually show you guys. Where is virtual machine KVM? Hang on, let me add my password. Ah, fuck, son of a bitch. Hang on, let me just add my password very quickly. All right, so because basically, actually, hang on, let me switch the screen because this is fucking distracting. Let's put it back to Ultra Gear. Because I have Manjaro and then there's Windows 11. Now, neither of these have a GPU pass-through. It's a pretty basic virtual machine. And a lot of times, I will open this one if I want to download certain things online. Like, if I want to download certain game romances. You know what? This is a safe environment. If I want to download game ROMs, like PS2 ROMs and stuff like that, I will download it here. And the reason why I do it is because some sites I just don't really trust. Just pretty much that. I just don't trust certain sites. They're kind of weird. And so I'll download it here. And then after I'm done downloading, I will then pass through a USB drive. I can do it using redirect USB device. I can pick the storage device, pass through here, copy it, and then put it back to my computer. Very intuitive. It's a very it's a very easy process, honestly. It's not that difficult to set this thing up. So yeah, it's very convenient. Sometimes I'll also use Windows 11. A lot of times, if I use a Windows 11 virtual machine, like recently, it's mostly just to fix up certain. Because I have like a couple of NTFS drives, and sometimes they'll have like weird fucking errors. Like, it'll just get a little bit corrupted, and Windows, it's very easy to fix them with Windows. A lot easier than fixing them with Linux. So I'll just open I'll open a virtual machine, pass through the drive, fix up whatever fucking weird issues it's having, and then it'll work again. It's really dumb, but it is what it is. Hey, look, this KDE Connect. I like KDE Connect. I quite like it. It's the software that I use to remotely transfer certain files from this computer to other device, Arch Linux. Arch Linux is referring to another computer that I have in my room that I use primarily for virtualization. Like, it pretty much just exists for virtualization. It has 2 GPUs. One of them passed through, has the VFIO shit working. And yeah, then there's my laptop, which, you know, it's a fucking laptop. It's nothing deeper than that. This one, I think this is my old build that doesn't exist anymore, which is funny that it's still here. Then those are my 2 phones. And I like KDE Connect quite a bit. It's kind of like a, you know, its own little like cute ecosystem. And then there's Luchas. Luchas is another graphical interface for Wine. I actually prefer Luchas over not Wine. So, wait, no wait. Actually, no. I actually no. I got it right. It's a graphical interface for Wine. I actually prefer this over Bottles because it looks nicer. Looks kind of raw. And yeah, like there are a couple of games that I run. This I'm pretty sure it doesn't work anymore because the launcher is fucked up. Whole life error uncapped. Now, to explain what I mean by this, I've actually explained this before, but the version of Whole Life Error that's on Steam is locked to 60. But if you had the initial, like the first ever build for Whole Life Error, it actually had the frame rate uncapped. And so, like, now to be honest, if I'm gonna play Whole Life Error, I'm definitely gonna play it on Steam just because this game, it does have some additional bugs. Like the biggest one is the fact that if you alt tab, if you open another window, something like that, if you click start and then you click the game again, it just the mouse and keyboard just won't work anymore. It's an annoying bug that I've encountered with some games, and this is one of them. So if I'm gonna play this, I'm definitely gonna play on Steam. But yeah, if for whatever reason I want to test out the uncapped version of Whole Life Error, which some of you might want, I'll use this. Fluffy Mod Manager. This is the mod. This is the mod manager that I use to play around with that Iroha mod. The one where you swap out Virgil with Iroha, which is pretty funny. Steam, the Wine client. So if for whatever reason I want to test out a game using Wine, a Steam game through Wine instead of Roton, I'll use this one. Need for Speed Most Wanted. It's been a while. It's been a while since I played this, actually. I was revisiting this, I think it was this year, actually, and then I got kind of distracted. Um, so then there's GOG. GOG is based. I love GOG. DRM free game store. Just perfect. Right now I'm playing Mafia 2. The original version. Not this piece of garbage. The original one, which still holds up, and you have no other reason to play anything other than this. I love Mafia 2, and I'm happy to be revisiting this. Now, Epic Game Store. I think at some point I had Epic installed, like the client installed, but I think I ended up removing it. Honestly, if you want to use Epic, you might as well just use Heroic Games Launcher. Especially if you care about some of the weird, you know. Well, the thing is, some people have pointed out that Epic has some like privacy concerns, but honestly, I don't know. I wouldn't worry too much about that, honestly, because like yeah, it probably does have, but like it's fucking come on, it's 2023. If you care that much about protecting your data, Epic is far from the only fucking service that you should be worrying about. But yeah, if I want to play Epic games, I'll probably just use Heroic Games Launcher. But honestly, recently I haven't really used Epic because a lot of the games that are there are just free games that I got for free, and the only one that well, actually, there are a couple of ones like the Batman Arkham games. Actually, yeah. Actually, you know what? I should probably play those games because they're actually pretty good. I actually need to dedicate some time to play them one of these days. Um, what else I haven't shown you guys? Oh, there's Dolphin. I like Dolphin. Dolphin is the GameCube and is it GameCube or GameCube? Whatever. It's the emulator for that shit. I actually use this to play FIFA Street 2 because actually I don't think I need it anymore. Because I remember there was a time when FIFA Street 2. Well, actually, no. Now that I think about it, I think I still need it. Because FIFA Street 2, the last time I tried playing it, it had some severe texture bugs. And I don't remember how I fixed it, but I remember there was a time when I could just never, I was never able to fix it. But I think I did because and by FIFA Street 2, I'm specifically talking about the PS2 version, which I actually do own. I actually do have copies of all the FIFA Street games, and for a while I just couldn't really get the game to work without like severe texture bugs. But I think I actually ended up fixing it, but I don't remember exactly how I fixed it. I just know that I did. I just know that if I play FIFA Street 2 now for the PlayStation 2 version, it'll just work. And honestly, I think I prefer playing it on with a PS2 emulator because this one, the aspect ratio is kind of all over the place. And then there's this is the program that I use to manage hard drives. So if I want to format a drive, if I want to there's even I can even benchmark a drive. Benchmark disk. This is the benchmark that I ran before. As you can see here, I think this is my main drive. Yeah, 5.8 gigabytes. It's an NVMe drive, so yeah, not surprised that it's running at this speed. Though I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I benchmarked this like almost a year ago. So yeah, that's really funny. This is my Blu-ray drive. It's great that it's being recognized here, meaning that it's working as intended. Even though honestly, the Blu-ray. Let me actually check. Where's VLC? I don't know if I still have the drive. I think let me actually check very quickly. Yep, I still have my. Yeah, I still have one of my. I have an album CD inserted here. I would play it, but I don't want to mess around with fucking copyright shit. So you just have to believe me when I say it does work. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it as far as like your average programs. There's a couple of other stuff that I use, like for example, BPY Top is the program that I use to. It's a monitoring software, and it looks cooler. I actually, if I just want to monitor like my CPU, and also if I want to kill off certain tasks, I will just use BPY Top. But obviously, if I want to monitor my GPU, I can't do that with this, so that's the one limitation. But I like using it. It's nice. As for my hex editor, I use hex edit. I've actually shown you guys this before. So yeah, there's a couple of terminal based programs that I could show you, but I think there are too many for you guys to even fucking care. Is this? Oh, it's system settings. Since this is KDE, this is a pretty boring stuff to show you. I'm not sure if you guys care. I guess there's this. Like, I have a couple of controllers that I've connected in the past. One of them should be DualSense. One of them should be the PS4 controller. There's my Bluetooth headphones. They work just fine. Then there are my Joy-Cons. Though I haven't been able to get my Joy-Cons to work properly here, so... Power manager. I actually disabled sleep or suspend because if I'm gonna do that, I'd rather do it fucking manually. Thunderbolt. This is pretty funny. It's pretty funny because I'm pretty sure I don't know, for some reason AMD platforms, they don't like referring Thunderbolt as Thunderbolt, but Linux, they don't give a fuck. They'll just say, oh yeah, this is Thunderbolt. So yeah, one other thing that I probably should have mentioned before, but I said that I have 3 monitors connected, but in all actuality, I technically have 4. The fourth one is this 4K monitor. I keep it disabled just because I don't really use this, to be honest. I only really use this monitor if I want to play games at 4K, but the amount of times that you'll ever see me playing a game at 4K is so, like, it's so far and few between that for the most part I just keep the shit disabled. I mean, my 4K monitor is mostly exists to run my PS5 anyway, so there's no real need to do this. No, discard all of it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's anything else I could show you. Like, I guess there's this YouTube Music. It's basically just a web. It's basically just a web version of YouTube Music. Funnily enough, if you don't want to sign into YouTube, but you still want to use YouTube Music, you can actually use AudioTube, which does actually work. As you can see here, for fate. This is a pretty dirty way of using YouTube Music, but hey, if you don't like the Google spyware, if you don't want to sign in, and you don't want to deal with ads, this is a viable way to fucking do it. It works. That's the part that fucking matters. What else? What other multimedia software? There's Plasma Tube, but I haven't been able to get Plasma Tube to work for some reason, so I don't even really bother. Oh, there's MPV. MPV is kind of like my default video player because, well, specifically, especially because of Anycly, which only works with MPV. So MPV is it's pretty great. I love MPV actually. I definitely use it more than VLC because VLC is a little bit bloated. I actually have Chromium installed because there were some websites that didn't work properly with the extensions that Brave tends to come with, but some of those websites eventually just started working with Brave, so I haven't been using Chromium as often. I don't think I have LibreOffice installed, but I have it installed on my computer, on my laptop. Ocular is the PDF viewer that I use. I actually use this more on my laptop because whenever I want to study Japanese or something like that, I'll just use Ocular. Ocular is a nice PDF viewer. It's a little bit limited, just a little bit limited. It may not come because I think, well, actually I think you can edit. Can you edit PDF files? Maybe you can. This implies that you can, but I remember seeing somewhere that like if you wanted to, like, for certain things that you typically do it with I think it's like Adobe PDF, like certain things that you would just kind of expect to work with Adobe PDF on Linux side of things, you would have to kind of like compartmentalize within different programs. I haven't really found myself in a scenario where I felt like I needed to use another software in order to do something with a PDF file. So I don't know. Maybe those are very specific use cases because Ocular for me just works perfectly fine. And the other programs, I don't think I really use them. Like Kmail, I don't really use mail clients. Shit's not for me. Interesting enough. Oh wait, Epic Game Launcher is still here, even though I'm pretty sure I removed it. Rockstar Games Launcher is still here, even though I'm very certain that I do not have Rockstar Games Launcher anymore because I removed GTA 5. Not out of any like disdain for the game, it's just that the game's too fucking large. I will eventually play that game anyway. And Grub Customizer, I've never used Grub Customizer. I've never in my entire life used Time Shift. Time Shift is great. This is a software for restoring, because let's say there's like a bad update or something really fucking bad happens to your computer and it's pretty much bricked and you have to format it. You can use Time Shift to actually restore the state of your computer. Now, I haven't really tested this ever because I never bricked my computer to the point where I needed to. Well, in recent times I haven't done that, but yeah, it's great. It's great. I have created snapshots, but they're not backed up on this computer. They're backed up on a hard drive, which I think you should do. But yeah, maybe one day I will actually try. I can actually try out in one of my Arch Linux virtual machines that I can just create for just to test to see if this actually works. I might actually do that, unironically. Just fucking close the program. What are you doing? And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think this video has gone on for long enough. I think you guys have a pretty good idea of how I use this computer. And yeah, if you have any other additional questions as far as like my day-to-day usage, you can ask me in the comments. And that's pretty much it. Sayonara.